Well, I want to do an update on silver again, but usually I get into some of the stuff with the general economy. And one thing about the general economy, we got statistics, and I'm going to show a couple of them, a couple little tidbits. But one thing, there's a little indication out there that something is not very good with the economy all around. And that is called the garbage index, which has an 82% correlation to the GDP. Very high correlation. The garbage index, how much three people throw away, is like down to like 2008 levels. It's not as low as it's ever been. It's not the very lowest, but it's very, very low. Whereas the GDP doesn't look like it's slipping that much. So it makes you wonder if those numbers are rigged. I think they are because I'm going to point out a couple other things. Now, silver's up today. It's probably, I don't know what it's going to do in a very short term. But there's a number of other things coming out with Europe. Mario Draghi saying they're in the end game now, and they're going to do everything they can to save the euro, and they will save the euro. So I'm thinking the only thing they really didn't do is like more easing like the Federal Reserve does. There's already talk about the European Central Bank buying up bonds. So that makes sense, right? They got to turn. That's one of the big problems. Like Italy and Spain have to turn over their debt. And Spain's yields went way up. QE, right? QE, right? Now, if I was a European, I'd definitely be buying gold and silver like crazy. There's no doubt about it, because you don't know what the hell they're going to do. If they're going to go to half the local currency, half the euro, they're going to. What are they going to do? Where's the euro going? And it's like almost a sure bet with the metals as far as what's going on in Europe. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I'd almost think there's a little bit of premium getting physical metals over there. I would almost imagine that. And that seems to be a guess. That is a guess on my part, but that seems to be something accurate using common sense. Because, that's just right now with all the uncertainty that's going on in Europe, and talk about, say, in Greece, that if they go back to the Draghi, you can lose 50% of your actual value of your money when everything starts readjusting. I would definitely want my money in gold and silver if I knew that was going to happen, because, and you don't know that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a lot of talk that it could. So rather than go into that, just be stuck in currencies like the euro, I would definitely go into gold and silver. So I'd imagine there's a lot more physical buying going on in Europe than there is even in the United States. Now, most of the physical buying in silver and gold is coming from the Asian factors, and I know that China is going to bring out their currency and move it up to the reserve currency status at one. They're trying to. They got to do it step by step by step. They got a long ways to go, actually. It's not just a matter of buying gold reserves. They don't have any like open trade with their currency the way a lot of people do, in the United States. It's like they have to do a lot more. They have to establish banking systems in the West more and more. There's a lot of stuff they have to do. It's just not a matter of buying gold reserves. There's a lot more things involved. So they're not going to actually be the Chinese yuan is not going to be a reserve currency for some time, but it's moving in that direction. And as it moves in that direction, the dollar is going to be devalued. Now, today, this is actually, let me get back to this chart. Today, silver and gold, the platinum and palladium are up. All the markets are up a little bit too. So, it's the yin and the yang, bright day, sad day, right? Now, where I think these markets are all going to move up is because of some of the statements like Mario Draghi says. If he's going to do everything to prop up the euro, there's only one thing I could think of that they're going to do. Easing. The other thing is a lot of data is coming out that looks bad. This is the J.P. Morgan Global Manufacturing Index. And, this is the older figure from last month, June 30th. But you can see it went to contraction on a global scale. Now, even Germany and France are in contraction too. Also, China's about break even according to their statistics. Now, back in June 30th, HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, not the Chinese official numbers, were 48, showing contraction. But a month later, even though the Chinese figures are like 50.3, they're just over 50. But a month later, that was in May. A month later in June, HSBC was showing at 49.5, the manufacturing index in China. And that means that it probably means that China's doing the steps for easing is helping them out. But the big problem is with China, the number one customer is Europe, and Europe looks like it's way down. So, to actually save the global economy, there's going to be a lot more stimulation in Europe and easing of policy. There is. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if they're looking at the global scale, I think, and they're not going to announce this. This information is going to be like the best kept CIA secret going because they don't want investors to move in there ahead of time. I would imagine the most privy and people on the inside are probably moving into gold, silver, and hard assets right now, waiting for a radical move upward. Where we're going to see that information come out is through like the silver bloggers and all the heavy-duty people on various channels and stuff. When things start cooking and say silver gets like the 37, 40, they're all going to be coming on hot and heavy saying the world is going to end, jump in it, and then they're going to start getting people to pile in it when it's around 55, 60, 70, and that's probably when I'm going to start selling. So that is the way the game is probably going to play out in my head. I think it is. Now, just remember about this garbage index, because this garbage index is probably more accurate than all those charts they throw up there, because I'd imagine even the primary manufacturing index, the numbers are cooked. They're cooked. I think the GDP numbers are cooked. All the numbers are cooked. The Bureau of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, all those numbers are cooked, right? I think all the numbers are cooked. They haven't, nobody pays attention to the garbage index, but the garbage index has a very high correlation rate to the GDP, and it's way down to like the 2008 levels. The commodities tell you a lot too, what's going on too. It's not just silver that's down, but everything is down. Some other commodities have been hit even more, like aluminum, because it's in oversupply and stuff. But when all the commodities are down, it's telling you the economic situation is down. And when platinum is down below gold, when they actually have all these strikes in South Africa, that that's due to economic conditions, not so much the fact that it's worth less money or whatever. There's a lot of contraction going on in the economy. Now I want to go on a couple other things. This is about the I was kind of conjecturing that the Olympic security is probably not up to snuff, even though they spent a lot of money on it. They got a lot of people out there and stuff. There's tons of ways to screw up. And I don't know if this is going to happen with the Olympics, if there's going to be a terrorist attack or not. If there is, I assume that if there is a bad one, the markets are going to go down, and I'm going to buy at that time. This was an interesting story that came out today. 11-year-old boy from Italy got on a flight to Rome. No passport ticket and no boarding pass, and they found out he found out he didn't have any credentials, no ticket, no passport, no boarding pass or nothing when he was up on the plane in mid-air, like actually been on a flight a while. So there goes to show you that airport security, despite all the bull crap, there's ways around it. This kid was a very good scammer. He got around it. So another thing about the Olympics here, this was another Olympic mistake. The South Korean flag was shown instead of the North Korean flag on the stadium's giant screen when the North Korean team entered the playing field. So they screwed that up. So it goes to show you, despite all the rules and stuff like that, it doesn't take much to get over on the system. That's something else. Now I want to talk about this guy, Bloomberg. Very smart individual, but smart and stupid at the same time. It's actually related to gun control, but also you can apply this to many things in a lot of ways. He talked about he wants to see all the New York City cops go on strike and not do anything, just go on strike, just take a vacation until everybody turns in their guns, because crime will go so high that everybody turn in their guns. Now, Bloomberg is not thinking on this one. It'd be funny as hell if this happened, because what I would think is some of the more ambitious crooks out there that have some brains, they would think, no cops, huh? Oh, great. I'm going to go over to Chase Manhattan. I'm going to go over to J.P. Morgan Chase. I'm going to rip them off. I'm going to rip off Bank of America. I'm going to go rip off Wells Fargo. I'm going to go rip off Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, whatever. So no cops, right? No problem. And, obviously he's not thinking through his statements very well, because, Cops actually, what they do is they enforce the law. Very simple. But that does not, conclude from there that they have a legal obligation to protect you. They don't have a legal obligation to protect you. They have a legal obligation to enforce the law. So if somebody's breaking the law against you, they have to enforce the law, but they don't necessarily have to protect you. So that's why the inherent right to self-defense is always there, and you have your exercise of your rights. Now, similarly, if I can actually say, you can put a limit on your exercise of your rights to self-defense, but I guess you could put a limit on everything. We live in a free society, so that's it. But I think Bloomberg wasn't thinking through too much when he stated about the cops. But going on vacation and going on strike, because what would happen is the more ambitious crooks would actually say, "Great, Bloomberg, I'm glad you did that." They'd probably rip his house off, but he'd probably have 8 million police around there when he put them all on strike. He'd be the exception to the rule, right? Right, Bloomberg, buddy? Yeah, I know how you are, right? So anyway, with silver, I expect, like, Mario Draghi's going to help the damn, Mario Draghi, Super Mario, he's going to save the euro. The only way he's going to save the euro is to pump a lot more money, is do a lot more easing. So if I, I would imagine, and it's very hard to get statistics because I don't think a lot of numbers are accurate. That's one reason I'm not throwing numbers up here, because I can lie with these damn numbers. That's really all I've seen with numbers anyway. Somebody pays you to make fancy things to convince people of bullshit. That's really what it is. But you know what? The guys with the money, they don't think like that. They think outside the box. They'll look at the numbers very hard, yes, but a lot of times they don't trust them because common sense goes a long way. Now, a little common sense of what people are doing in Europe, I think they're buying lots of gold and physical silver. Because, say, for instance, you're in Greece and you had a business and you had your money wrapped up in a bank or whatever the hell it is, and you're not sure if they're going to convert back to the Draghi, which means your money might be worth half of what it was worth inside of a year, because they might go off the euro and go back to the Draghi, right? Well, if I was that person, I would definitely be heavily invested in gold and silver. There's no doubt about it, because you're not going to lose half on that from where it is now. I mean, maybe when it's 60, 70 bucks, it might go down to 45. But from where it is now, it ain't going to go down and lose half. That's not going to happen. So, and looking at what's going to happen for solutions in Europe, and they have to come up with these solutions because China is actually their number one place they export to is Europe. It's going to make the Chinese slowdown even more acute. So, and even Germany has a slowdown. Their PMI index is like below 50 right now, and it has been below 50. So a lot of these numbers are actually indicating that the economy is a lot worse than it is. Now, Ben Bernanke, I think he's going to act pretty soon, to tell you the truth. Now, I want to point out this other thing here. This could relate to the economy. It's probably BS, but I'm going to throw it here on the end anyway, because I don't know if it is BS or not. It's from Andrea Rossi. I talked about this last year. He supposedly has this way to produce energy basically almost free. It's called it's cold fusion, but they got another name for it. It's LENR, low energy nuclear reactions. He's actually shown and demonstrated this stuff like over a year ago, and it had several demonstrations. It was one to the public, basically, where the public was scientists and reporters, and they can get up close and examine the device, and it was being used for so long. He sold a couple of these things. They had buyers. They were supposed to be in production in even almost a year ago. I think it was in late 2011. They're supposed to go into production. This guy could be a scammer because, but he could be coming up against a lot of garbage too. I think it's a mixture, to tell you the truth. I think it's a mixture. But he's had this device. He's also tested it again. It runs on 1,000 degrees Celsius, which is about 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll produce 1 megawatt of energy. Just keep producing it forever and ever and ever. It just runs and runs and runs and runs. It's like a nuclear reaction, but it's like on a very, very low level. So it can actually power your house, your car. If you have an electric car, you never have to put gas in it again. It would actually solve the water problem because, like, if you have not enough fresh water, you can always desalinate ocean water. The big problem with desalinating ocean water is it's energy intensive. So if you get free energy, you can get all the fresh water in the world. It sounds too good to be true. I'm going to mention it here because this is actually still moving right along, and it's a major game changer for the entire world. Now, as far as how that would affect the price of silver, I wish the damn device did use silver in it because if we had one consumer, that would be very good. But it would actually change the entire face of the earth because free energy would bring down the cost of every single product and actually cause the economy to spur on in a real fashion versus an artificial fashion by just printing money. Lower cost energy is actually what brought us into the industrial age. It went from coal to fuel oil. It went to crude oil, excuse me, and that brought us into the industrial age. In other words, you didn't need 20 horses to do something. You had an engine. So if this guy's device is actually correct and it's real, I got suspicions. But he's had a number of demonstrations in front of other peer scientists and news reporters, and it shows that it works. If this thing's correct, that's a major game changer. Now, the elite will hate this because the other thing I know is here right now that can be a major game changer is industrial hemp. That can provide fuel. People are talking about plastic bags being a problem. They banned them in, like, I think Los Angeles, California, where you can have hemp bags that are biodegradable and stuff like that. So it solves a lot of pollution problems, solves greenhouse gases and everything else like that. That's a solution that's here already right now. So it could be possible that Andrea Rossi, with his LENR, low energy nuclear reactions, cold fusion device, is actually running up into problems from the elite and they're throwing roadblocks on him. He also could be a very sophisticated scammer that is, well, maybe he's just a dreamer, that he thinks he has something and maybe he doesn't have it anywhere near where it needs to be, where it can actually go into production. But it's an interesting concept and it could be a major game changer for the entire world, but don't hold your breath on that. I would just go right straight ahead with hemp if I was going to say any kind of change. Now, with silver, I think, like I stated, Mario Draghi is not going to drag his feet. He's going to move ahead, and he's going to stimulate he's going to do everything he can to save the euro, and there's only one option. That is a lot more easy. And looking at all statistics out there, especially that garbage index, the most important one that I think they don't rig the numbers on, and that nobody looks at it, the garbage index, it's showing way down. So the economy is looking like crap everywhere. So I say they're printing money, which means, ergo, metals are getting ready to fly. I hope I'm right on this because I don't like being a pump and dumper. I like trying to be accurate. I think metals are getting ready to fly.